Okay, so here we are again for a minute. I'm just going to pop a PPC chamber into this and get it out of the lathe so that I can move on to neck turning. But I thought somebody might be interested in how I use my pusher. People have said, well, holding a reamer with your fingers seems like you're asking for trouble. Well, I've used this this was my first pusher. You can see the wear pattern as it's circling the wagons trying to find center. This one's got a driving bolt that goes in and engages the notch on here, but furthermore, once I get it exactly where I want it, this is a tightening arm, got a nice relief cut here, and I crank it down, and I hold this one like this. This is just, I'm going to be building one, probably showing it on video, a better one, a good one, built out of a piece of barrel, shortly, but just figured my homemade setup with its homemade DRO and its homemade everything, homemade pusher, homemade whatever, and see if I can chamber this without incident, just so that we can all see what I'm doing. Now what I do is, as I'm advancing, I zero the DRO. In this case it's not going to matter because I'm still way back where the cartridge case is sticking completely out of the chamber. I'm not even into where I'm going to start taking measurements yet. But this will show you how I juice the reamer, how I clean it, a few other little things like that that may or may not be relevant. I see guys wiping them off with a paper towel. I don't like that. Of course, the big boys use a flusher system. I don't like that. There's all kinds of, this is just my way. That's it. Just a way to do it on a home lathe in a cold shop. Kind of spur of the moment. I ran down here on a Saturday, managed to go in and get my jobs cleared up by 11 o'clock today, and I'm just down here getting this busted loose so I can continue with what I really care about, which is my fireform project. So I set this, looks like I can go another round here. Then I run into here, run over the top, lock the tailstock, back it off, forgot to zero the DRO. But as you can see, I'm holding it very gently. Of course, I'm cutting a PPC chamber, so it goes very gently. But it just, I let my hand flex. This takes care of all the chatter problems. You get chatter, flex it out with your hands. And as far as cutting, you're going to find that if your setup is not cutting on all the flutes, it's screwed up, period. There are people that will say, oh, so-and-so makes a reamer, it's got a high flute every time. No, you're an idiot. And I realize that I use the idiot euphemism quite a bit, but I'm done with euphemisms. I'm old, all right? I come from a generation when you could call a spade and not be called a racist, because it has nothing to do with racism. It never has and never will. So over here in my chip bucket, which is a wheelbarrow, I've got a bucket set up, and I throw big stuff in there that doesn't tend to blow all over the room. What I mean by that is I had some curls here on one of the other videos that came off looking, I don't know, kind of like this. To me, that's big stuff. That's cut-off swarf. Throw a mile of cut-off swarf in the bottom, stuff like that. And now when I blow the reamer off in there, and I do blow, I blow in behind the bush, I spin the bush, I blow from the front. If I feel any hang-up, blow everything. Now on the far side on the door there, I've got a towel set up. When I'm blowing through here, it blows the grease and stuff over and catches on a towel that I can just, not really a towel, it's just old clothes. I've been told that I don't have any old clothes because I wear them my whole life until there's not enough left for a rag. There's some truth to that. But, trust me, that's an old shirt over there. I do sometimes throw away stuff. I just had to check that, I'm sorry. I know I'm nowhere near, nowhere close. So to start this over again, I bring the tailstock up. I know you're not really seeing that. I run the handle over a few times, which you're not really seeing. It goes in until it touches, it loads the tailstock, then I lock the tailstock, back it off. I go back into where it's touched down, which is loaded with the handle over the top. It's touched down, I call this my beginning zero. I go like that. If I want to cut 20, 30, 40 thou, I'm still roughing this chamber in. I didn't want to bore you, this isn't a chambering video. I'm not going to go through and show the whole thing. Anybody who's watching this knows how to chamber. Well, maybe not. If you're going to learn how to chamber, I guess I could. But my way of chambering is, you know, different than everybody else's. This is just some of the things that I do. The only thing I find interesting to people is the fact that to cut identical chambers, you must use a pusher with a circular ring that works its way to center. And I'm going to have to do an exposition on that. Most people don't realize that you can push an empty or loaded dump truck down the road with no driver. Put it in neutral, unlock the wheel, and you can push it down the road and around corners with a bulldozer. A good guy can walk along, bumping his blade around and drive the truck around obstacles in the road. Because if the truck does try to take off sideways, that side of the dozer blade loads up and it pushes it back to center. That's the way a good pusher works. So it circles. As this reamer's humping up and loading up, it loads to the high side and it pushes it back to center. So you can see the wear pattern on a reamer pusher after you've used. I blued this one just for the fun of it, just to be able to watch the wear pattern. But anyway, let me not get too disconcerted here and screw this up. So I'm backed out. I backed out another turn just to be safe. That looks like I'm cutting hard or soft or holding hard or soft. It's very comfortable for me to hold. I'm not hammered down. I'm very loose on it. If I can feel the tiniest little grab or hesitation, I just do a little of this and it wipes out. I don't know how many chambers up to 50 BMG, from 6 PPC to BMG, using this little pusher. The things that are key is that it be enough clearance that the handle can clear if something does. Nothing has ever hung up for me. But then, I haven't done thousands of chambers. But 375s, goofy Weatherby, stupid angle shoulder things for other people. I do a lot with the Lapua case, but just blown out my way, so it cuts harder. It's got less taper. Move here. Just blowing it into a bucket. As I come by, I blow in that side and blow stuff this way. I'm not going to do that anymore because I've got a $3,000 camera sitting right up there. So I'm going to do everything from this. Down here, I've got a pot of cutting oil that I have rigged in such a way that my reamer just hangs in it out of the way. Drips off if I want it to, depending on how full I fill it. Now I'm back in, bottomed out. Come back up here. Rolly, touches down, loads over the top. It's starting to push the tailstock carriage. I lock the tailstock carriage. Go over the top to a 0. Looks like I cut 73 last time. No, that's meaningless. Forget all that. So this time I'm going to cut, man, I forgot to check. I'm going to cut 20,000. I'm not getting close. No, that's retarded. That's dumb. Forget that. Get distracted. I'm going to slip my custom headspace gauge in there. Wow, that's so tight I left some oil. I can't even get the thing to bottom out, but that's okay. So I'm way short yet. Roll that up, lock that down, find A0, which is totally different than last time. That's why that was irrelevant. Back it up so I get clearance. Fire the lathe, find my relaxed centers, start goozling it in there. There's my starting to cut. Hit 20, I don't know if you see that. In material. Reamer comes back out, fully loaded. It's all good. So now I'm just going to reiterate a way to find out where we're at. This is not the way. This is my way because I screw up a lot, all right? I make a lot of mistakes. I don't like to trust the math. I like to put things together. It's like guys obsess about case neck thickness. I have no idea really what my case neck thickness is. Don't care. Because in the end, I take all of my measurements off the loaded round, find out if I have neck clearance. And plus the measurements and myself don't get along very well, so I gauge everything. But here's a way to find out, hey, are we getting close? Are we getting stupid? Are we going to do something dumb? So, one last time. Blow that out. Throw this on there. Cut these threads a little tight. Not really happy with this. I've got too little movement here, but it's where it hit. I went, yeah, well, this is a melanited action. If this was a normal bat without melanite on it, I would have ran another pass. But I was in a hurry and it was late, and I had already made enough mistakes for that night, and I thought, you know what? Climbing barrels is something where you have to have your wits about you. My wits were kind of off somewhere else. So we put our headspace gauge in there, which I don't use a headspace gauge because they're hardened steel. I set my chambers to all match each other because I can. I use a headspace gauge for if I do stuff for a client, obviously. I have a problem with headspace gauges. In some senses, they're the correct tool for the job. They're just not the correct tool for me because I'm a freak like that. So I go in, and now I've got such a gross gap here that I'm going to do something that I don't recommend, but you're going to see it. We're just going to measure this this enormous gap. I'm at 99 thou. I still have a 1/10 of an inch to go in here. So I'll probably cut, no, I don't know what I'm going to cut. Every cut's a new cut for me. I don't make any presumptions. See if I can get this off without tripping that 1.5 ounce trigger. This actually isn't an 1.5 ounce trigger. It's a Bixen Andy, and I've got it set at 2 because, well, I guess you'll have to try a Bixen Andy for yourself to know why. I shoot my jewels at 1.5 ounces all the time. So I just tested a bunch of triggers, and I didn't even dare publish the results on the internet for fear of somebody feeling maligned. So bottom line is, good little trigger. Just leave it at that. Using it for fire form. Fire form's like a mother. Wow. Best fire, you know, honestly, probably the best fire form trigger I've ever used. So I think we had basically 100 thou to go. So I'll go in there and I might decide to cut 20 or 30. I might decide to go halfway in, cut 50. I will say this for all you guys that don't do this every day, and even maybe to remind those that do, it's a whole lot easier to come in short. I don't know if easier is the right term. It's really easy to go too far, I'll tell you that. So, there's our 0. I touch down. I set my 0. I always set both of them in the same reason that when I shut off my cell phone, I use a flip phone because I need a phone. I got calls coming in. I got one of these retard phones here somewhere too. But the point is, when I hit the off button, I hit it about 3 times because too many times I've inadvertently whatever. So I do things I hit all these. I realize I'm only using the top one. Just watch the top one. Doesn't matter. But in my world, screw-ups happen all the time. My job is to make them as minimal as possible. So here we go. We're cutting. I'm still feeling good. I'm going to go. Man, I just went about 35 thou. I loaded this thing up like a big dog. I got chips in there like all the way to the top. This right here is still not telling me much. What tells me much is that when I get down to the bottom, when I'm cutting the last few thou out, here, let's just check this, just because everything that I wanted to accomplish on this video has been accomplished. I just want you to see my homemade DRO and know that I bought this from some really nice retired military veterans who are out making a living doing this. This is called an Eason ES-8A digital readout, and I love it. I love to support the vets that are doing it, and it works great. There's 5 different classes of digital readouts, 4 commonly available. This one's called a glass something or another, and it's stinking accurate. Just leave it at that. I'm not going to quantify it. Just stinking accurate. What do you know? I don't know if this will read in there. Doesn't matter if it can or not. So, do that again. I doubt that I'm going to cut that full 35-ish thou this time, because we're starting to get in to where we're actually cutting. I'm worried about loading the flutes. I'm worried about chips. I have never, not from day one, never once have I polished a chamber. I've never run a piece of sandpaper inside one of my chambers. Not one time. There's no rings, there's no, because I'm careful. Good reamer, good technique, no real reason to have any rings in the chamber. That's all I have to say about that. I'm not here to preach to anybody about anything. I just know what I want, and that is identical, period, chambers. There are no other options in my world. So back up to here, tighten her up, drop it down, hit the 0. Let's cut another few thou out of there. Another 35 plus, which is really not much of a gauge of anything. But where I was going is, when you get right down to that last few thou, that's when you really start seeing what your reamer's doing. When you've got a nice even load of flakes on every flute. I don't trust anybody, including myself, but I do trust that the dimensions on this reamer, well, no, I don't trust the dimensions on the reamer until I've tried it, but I do trust that the reamer is rounder probably than me, that if I'm getting something out of round or screwed up or not fitting, it's probably me, not the reamer. So, here I am talking again without checking, but I was 30, 16. I'm going to go another 20 thou. Okay. If I go too deep, you will have witnessed me screwing up, and it's going to cost me 4 hours worth of time. Maybe I'll videotape the whole thing, make you suffer through it with me. No, I wouldn't do that. So I'm going to go 20 thou. That's meaningless. That was a joke. Now it's time for me to check. There might be enough time on there to check one. Feeler gauge method. Knock this out. Gonna go quick here. Gonna probably drop something. Gonna wreck something. Throw my headspace gauge in there. Spin this sucker down. Okay, I'm getting cocky, which is kind of a mistake, but it's just the bane of trying to, once I get good at something, my poor concrete job's worth $100,000 and I used to just lose sleep over it. Now I go out and I know. So let's see where the old feeler gauge hits. I know where I'm feeling. Let's see where we are. Pinch. Yeah, just so you can witness it. This is bragging. But yes, that's the one I chose. And yes, it comes out just like that. I call that hitting right on the nut. So, now I got 7th thou left to go. I'm gonna decide, I might just do that in my shooting room. I final chamber these because I've got a whole squish issue with this, that the way I shouldered it. Anyway, this chamber is probably done. I'll make a couple measurements and probably just walk away with it because it's gonna end up, by the time I tighten it up, being about 4,000 short. And I'm just gonna go touch that up in the other room. Maybe I'll hopefully videotape that and show you how I do it, why I do it. Because it's the only way to set identical chambers to each other. To be able to fire a case, take it out and load it, put it in another gunfire, take it out and load it, and it doesn't grow. It doesn't, the resizing works. It's the only way that I know of. And I've paid a lot of people to go for it and had no success other than this method right here. So I make them so that the cases truly interchange, truly headspace correctly. That's my rant for this minute. There will be another.